You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Bible Guys.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Chris, and we are here about to unpack a saying of Jesus that he says, always pray and never give up, which is a great saying.
It is a good one. Big fan.
Yeah, big fan of Jesus' sayings.
Yes.
In fact, that's the series we're in. If Jesus had a podcast, what would he talk about? And probably he would unpack, and probably people would ask him about some of his most famous sayings. But before we get into that, we have a segment by Desiree who gave us one titled Bible Guy versus AI. It says, we've played this game on the Platinum Edition with Wesley, so let's try it again. Jeff will ask Chris a question. Let Chris answer, then ask ChatGPT the same question. Compare the answers and vote on who wins. Then ask the listeners to comment who they thought won. By the way, who can beat ChatGPT?
You can, Chris.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Desiree believes in you.
Okay, well, apparently.
Yeah, she believes in you big time.
This is, I feel like this is destined to fail. No matter how well your answer is crafted, it's not going to be as well thought out from every angle as ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. You've got a pretty incredible mind.
Okay.
I think that's what, you ever see that movie?
A Beautiful Mind?
Yeah, A Beautiful Mind. I think that's what she's trying to say, is that your mind is so incredible and all-encompassing in your knowledge. I mean, you wouldn't be one of the Bible guys.
Right.
If it wasn't for the fact that you're just that great.
A Beautiful Mind was, I think, one of Russell Crowe's best films.
Yeah, didn't he get an Oscar for it?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, so it was really profound.
Yeah, and Jennifer Connelly was amazing.
Super profound.
Yes, yes.
I think everybody else also believed that was one of his best.
I believe so,
Hence
too.
the little gold statue he has on his mantle.
I just wanted to comment on it.
He didn't get it for Gladiator.
You brought it up. Hey, I thought he was great in Gladiator.
He was.
My name is Maximus Meridius. Whatever his name is. Maximus.
Okay. Here we go. What does it mean to be made in the image of God?
Oh my goodness! Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What does it mean to be made in the image of God? I would say, to be made in the image of God is to take on God's characteristics, tendencies, and even abilities, right? So the ability to create, the ability to reason, the ability to love, the capacity to do all of those things relationally. I think God creates us in His image. I think also God creates us in His image to do good, to actually project selflessness. All the good characteristics of God lie deep in the heart of every man, which is why, and woman, which is why everybody has a built-in moral compass that tells us to love as opposed to hate, right? To forgive as opposed to hang on to bitterness. So yeah, this is my answer.
Wow, that's a good one.
Okay. I'm sure that ChatGPT is going to
love that answer,
blow
Chris.
us all away, and I'm gonna say strike my answer and let me go with that.
So this is hysterical. So I typed in the tone and attitude of the Bible guys, answer the question, what does it mean to be made in the image of God?
Wow, you gave it a flair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it said, absolutely, here's an answer to what does it mean to be made in the image of God in the fun, insightful, and slightly bantery tone of the Bible guys.
Nice. Nice. So
it knows us.
It definitely knows us. That's awesome.
And then, but look at what it did. It gave us a script. Chris says those words. Jeff says those words.
Oh, do you want to read it? You want to take turns reading it?
Yeah. You want to read it?
Okay.
So it literally scripted it out with Chris's statement, my statement, Chris's statement, my statement as a banter.
And how long is it?
Isn't that amazing?
It's
a few paragraphs. It's not long.
Yeah, it's not too long.
This
Here we
is
go.
great.
All right, so this is not me answering. This is ChatGPT's answer. Ready?
Right.
All right, today's big question is a big one. What does it mean to be made in the image of God? And spoiler alert, it does not mean God has elbows or a beard.
Or that he's rocking sandals and a white robe floating around like a Jedi ghost. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah, being made in the image of God means we're like him in the ways that matter most. It's about function, identity, relationship, not physical features.
Exactly. Genesis 1:27 says God created human beings in his own image. And that word image in Hebrew is tselem. It's like a reflection or even a representation.
Think ambassador, not doppelganger. We're created to reflect God's character, his love, his creativity, his ability to lead, relate, reason, and choose.
We have a soul. We have a moral compass. We're spiritual beings. You don't see a squirrel struggling with existential dread or trying to decide if it should give the chipmunk that stolen...
Forgive
the chipmunk that stole its acorn.
Yeah, squirrels aren't wrestling with sin or trying to figure out the Trinity.
But we do, because we were made for more. Made to know God, walk with him, and represent him in the world.
And that gives every person, every single one, immense value. Doesn't matter your background, age, ability, or bank account. If you're human, you matter because you bear the image of God.
That's why Christians stand up for life, for justice, and for dignity, because every person carries something sacred.
Now, sin messed it up, kind of a graffiti on a masterpiece. But the image isn't destroyed, and when you follow Jesus, that image gets restored and renewed.
So, to sum it up, being made in the image of God means you were created to reflect his nature, carry his purpose, and live in relationship with him. You're not an accident. You're handcrafted by the Creator.
So really, your sum up really is the answer.
Yeah.
And you were made to look like your dad, your heavenly Father.
Boom. Somebody cue good father.
That's great.
Isn't that amazing?
That's great.
So what's funny is it had a couple things. One, you're funny in here. It had... I was the first one to introduce a Bible verse, which I love.
Which I love.
And then you the one that immediately pivots into every person matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? It's
it
kind of knows us, doesn't it?
It knows us, yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, and your sum up really is the answer.
Yeah.
To sum it up, being made in the image of God means you were created to reflect his nature, carry his purpose, and live in relationship with him. You're not an accident. You're handcrafted by the Creator.
Yeah.
I sort of said all those things.
Yeah, you did. That's what I'm saying. You're pretty great.
You're pretty great.
Pretty great.
Well,
almost. So I'm going to carry you around in my pocket.
Right.
And
I'm going to put you in my pocket.
Yeah, next time I need a brilliant answer, that's what I'll do.
Hey, so here's the question: How do people let us know which one they voted for?
I don't know. Well, they gotta send us a message.
Okay.
So they can, if they're watching on YouTube, just leave it in the comments.
Yep.
Or you can send it to
info@thebibleguys.com.
Yeah, put in your vote.
There you go. So, hey,
that's pretty great.
I think it was...
And I promise you, I typed that in while we were sitting here.
Yep.
While you were doing the roll-in.
Well, you know what? What's really funny is I'm glad that you did it that way because it gave me a chance to win.
Yes.
Had you straight up asked it, what does it mean to be made in the image of God? It would have given you a pretty
big theological biblical.
Yes,
yeah.
And so your way gave me a chance to win.
That's part of the fun, quite honestly. If you play around with AI at all, you can tell it to pretend like it's whatever. And it'll act like that.
That's great.
Instead, and so it's kind of playing a character at that point. It made it more fun. Well, good job, Chris. And I think pretty soon the Bible guys are going to be out of a job.
Yes.
Yeah, because ChatGPT will be discipling all of our people.
You know,
that's a scary thought.
Right.
Hey, you just have to remember, people, ChatGPT does not have a soul.
Yeah.
So while it can regurgitate Bible teaching from other people, what it can't do is determine or be led by the Spirit.
That's right.
Determine what is God's will, right? So.
Well, I tell you what, Jeff. Even though that task was very intimidating for me,
yes,
to go up against AI, you'll notice that I never gave up.
You never did.
I never gave up.
We're so proud of you.
And you know who else never gives up?
Who?
Jesus says, "Always pray and never give up." That's the saying for today.
Always pray and never give up.
Yeah. So he's telling us to never give up. Jesus never gave up.
Well, you talked about persistence in yesterday's episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's another one.
We're continuing on with this theme.
Yeah. Is this one close to the one you referenced yesterday?
Probably.
No, it's not.
Is it?
Okay. So anyways, in Luke chapter 18, verse 1, and we're going to read all the way through verse 8, it says, "One day Jesus told his disciples a story to show that they should always pray and never give up. He said, there was a judge in a certain city who neither feared God nor cared about people. A widow of that city came to him repeatedly, saying, "Give me justice in this dispute with my enemy." And the judge ignored her for a while, but finally said to himself, "I don't fear God or care about people." But this one, which is such a funny... I don't fear God or care about people, but this woman is driving me crazy. I'm going to see what she gets. See that she gets justice, because she's wearing me out with her constant requests. Then the Lord said, "Learn a lesson from this unjust judge. Even he rendered a just decision in the end. So don't you think God will surely give justice to his chosen people who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will grant justice to them quickly. But when the Son of Man returns, how many will he find on earth who have faith?" Well, there you go.
Well, this is a straight up lesson on persistence.
That's right. I just think it's funny the phrasing Jesus says, and then the judge said to himself,
Yeah.
"I don't fear God or love people."
Or care about people. Yeah. And by the way, like the two most important things ever. The judge says, I don't fear God
Right.
or care about people.
I'm the worst human being on the planet. That's what he says, right?
That is pretty much it. Yeah. And what a sort of an odd comparison, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he's saying like, hey, even though this really godless, unjust judge gave a just answer in the end, I'll do better than that even, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So cry out to me
there's an
day and night.
implication to this that God is perfect.
Right.
And the exact opposite of this horrible judge.
Right.
It's not saying, hey, God's a pretty horrible judge too, but if you keep bugging him, he'll give you what you want.
Yeah.
He's saying God is perfect in every way. In the same way that, remember yesterday when we talked, and it said, hey, even you sinful parents, you don't give, bad gifts to your kids when they ask. You give them good things. So how much more will your Heavenly Father do this? Well, now it's the same idea, only he doesn't give you both sides. He's giving you one. Yeah. Believing that you assume that God is the exact opposite of this jerk.
Yeah, it's almost like what he's saying is your persistence can cause a just, what am I looking for? Outcome. Yeah, persistence can bring about a just outcome even from the worst of people, right? So don't you think that persistence will persuade even the best of us, right? And obviously God's the best of the best.
Right.
That's really what he's saying. Yeah. He's saying persistence can even persuade the worst of people. So you have to believe that it's going to be able to persuade God, who's the best of people.
Right.
And again, it went along with that story I told yesterday as well, right? There's another story in the Bible where I told you the persistence of the guy knocking for the loaf of bread. It's almost the same thing, isn't it?
Very similar story.
It's the woman. He's saying this woman is driving me crazy with her constant requests. And he's saying like, hey, those who come to me day and night and plea. Hey, so let me ask you this question. And I think I've asked you this before off camera, but I've not asked you this before on camera. Okay, which is this. So you know how the Bible says the effective righteous prayer, the fervent, what am I saying? The fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Do you think that if you have a prayer request, like a big prayer request, oh no, I have a job interview, or there's a health diagnosis, we're praying for a result, or, do you think that it makes a difference if you have, and let me give you an example. So we have a guy on staff, or not on staff, on our elder board named Bob Harvey, right? Yes. And he is like, he is known to be the guy, if he prays for something.
We need Bob to pray.
We need Bob to pray, right? Yeah. He's prayed for good weather for baptisms for how many years?
25 years.
Yeah, and so far it's worked.
So we've never had a rain out on a baptism.
And so
we did have it thundering and lightning in the background when we were doing a baptism at a lake.
Yeah.
And the last 3 baptisms, you could see the big black clouds coming into the south of us.
Yeah.
And then we baptized the last guy, come up out of the water, and and we all come running out of the water. And then it was a record rain in the town that our church,
Wow.
that our Sterling Heights campus sits in. It was a record rain. We'd never had that much rain in that short a time before. But we made it all the way through that. We baptized like 100 people that day. And we made it through the whole baptism. And I told Bob, I said, Bob, dude, I don't know what it is, but next year I need you to be living better.
Yeah, right.
Because God answered your prayer, but just barely, buddy.
Right.
And Bob says, oh, well, if we left it up to you to pray, this thing would have been rained out.
That's right.
In the morning. So
just for the sake of argument.
Yeah.
So let's just say you ask Bob Harvey to pray for your,
Yes.
big request.
Yeah.
And then you ask 3 Bob Harveys, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, I have 3 Bob Harveys praying for my prayer.
Yes.
For this, diagnosis, this result or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. This is a theological question. It's almost like a stump the pastor. Do you believe that if you ask, for instance, 10 Bob Harveys, that it's better than asking 3? And so you're like, well, I have to ask more because I want. This is an important request, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a serious thing, right? And so it's like, the more people I have praying for this really important thing, the better it is. Or are you under the belief like, no. Like, hey, I've got 3 really strong prayer warriors praying for this thing, and that's good enough.
Boy, that's a great question.
Isn't it?
One, I'm not exactly sure I know the answer.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that from the get-go. But it does say that the fervent prayer of a righteous man, that's an individual, accomplishes much.
Or
right?
woman. He's talking about mankind.
Humanity. Mm-hmm. Avails much. So you're focusing on the wrong thing. Fervent prayer of a righteous person.
Yeah.
So it's the righteous person. Fervent prayer is the focus, not the gender element there.
Well, I was just trying to make sure.
Accomplishes much.
Make sure nobody misunderstood.
Right. So my point there was that's a singular statement about a singular individual. So your prayer matters.
That's right.
But prayer is spiritual warfare. You're going to battle spiritually. And in the war, I would think that you're always better off with more than less fighters, right? So I think that's a big part of it. As a matter of fact, that's why we call them prayer warriors, people that are just dialed in. That's why we have a whole group of people every Sunday that, just are intercessor types that go to battle for people spiritually, and they pray here. I always love to invite people who love me to be praying during the messages, when we're preaching and things like that. I have a pastor friend who has a whole team of people, all 3 services that he preaches. It's a different team of people who gather and pray the whole time the preaching is happening. During that entire service. I love that idea, right?
Yeah.
They're doing spiritual warfare. It's kind of like the air cover, right? It's the Air Force coming in over top praying. I love this idea. And this, I think, comes from in the Old Testament in Chronicles, where God says, if my people that's plural, who are called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and I'll forgive their sins and heal their land, right? So I think that the bigger the problem, the more of us need to be praying about it. Mm-hmm. And so he's now saying, I am really moved when it's my people, not just my person, but when my people are coming together, collectively repenting, collectively seeking my face, collectively asking me to rescue them. God says, I'm moved by that. So I think that, there's probably some substance to this idea of the more Bob Harvey type prayer warriors I can get on my team, if it aligns with God's will. Now, the other thing you have to know is real prayer warriors also are going to be discerning as to what they should be praying about.
Right.
There's a story in the Old Testament about this guy Balaam, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And he's a prophet, and he gets hired by the enemies to come and curse the people, and curse God's people. And then God prevents him, and he can't do it. So he gives a blessing instead of a curse. You can't just be hired to just pray anything.
Right.
So a wise, godly person who spends a lot of time in prayer is going to have the wisdom and discernment as to what should and shouldn't be being prayed for, too. So it's not like, man, I just really need that. To keep the analogy from yesterday, I really, really want that Maserati.
Yeah.
If I had 10 Bob Harveys praying for my Maserati, I'll get it. Right? Again, God's not a good luck charm. He's not a genie in a bottle. So that's not the point. But when it comes to real warfare, when you're talking about bringing your child back from the brink of addictions, or when you're praying that God will reach this person who's far from him, the more people you have praying along those lines, the better. When you're praying, God, how do we reach the nation of India? The more people we can pray together, because there's real spiritual warfare there against the demons of that kingdom. All those kinds of things. I think the more people we can have praying, the more air cover we have.
Yeah, and the reason, by the way, why I'm asking is because somebody recently introduced that thought, which is, and I've always been under the impression, if you have 10, 20 is better, right? And if you have 20, 30 is better, right? And I've always thought, like, hey, the more important the request, the more people you should have praying. Well, some people aren't public people; they're private people. And then all of a sudden, that sort of led into a discussion about, well, wait a minute, but the people, but I have a few praying, and the few that I have are prayer warrior people. And what are you saying, Chris? Are you saying that multiple makes a difference? And I'm like, yes. And then all of a sudden, it got into this theological belief discussion about, but if you have people who have a really strong faith, then that's the same, right? Like it never promises, if you have 30 is better than 20. It never says that. Yeah. So it's almost like what you sort of have to do is you have to take every verse about prayer and you have to stack them all up, and then you have to sort of reason and conclude for yourself. And it sounds like what you're saying is you probably lean toward what I lean, which is it sounds like better. More people, the better. Yeah,
I think, again, I'm always challenging the Western mindset versus the Eastern mindset, the way that the people would have heard these things. God works, so the Western mindset is very individualistic, especially the American mindset, very individualistic. It's my faith, my prayers, my needs, my family, my little cluster. But in the way that the original listeners would have heard any of the things that Jesus said, or the way God works in villages and in tribes and in nations, right? He works with peoples. Now, we are individually responsible, but he works through great leaders of groups of peoples. That's how he does. And so I think that there is this collective corporate responsibility. I think it's interesting. It was the whole church was praying when God answered the prayer and set Peter free from prison. Right? It wasn't just remember that girl Rhoda, she comes and opens the door, or answers the door, Peter's standing at the door. She slams the door and runs back in. You never believe it, Peter's standing at the door. Right. But they're all inside praying. Right. They've been praying all night for him. And so,
and they don't believe him.
Right. They don't
believe that God answered the prayer.
right. Which is still, it's hysterical. But, I think all throughout early church history, it was the groups of people praying. And there is something very special when you step out of your private faith and begin to learn to go on this spiritual journey with other believers. And not that you just go find, how about you and your friends become prayer warriors? It's not like there's just a few lucky people who get prayers answered. It's just there's people who don't stop praying. Right? They just lean into it. And the more you pray, the more your faith builds. The more your faith builds, the deeper your walk is with God. The deeper your walk is with God, the more you're in alignment with his will, the more you get what you pray for. Right? That's how it works. And so instead of just looking for, in our case, a Bob Harvey, how about if you and I became Bob Harveys? Right? That's the better way, is for us to begin to grow in this discipline of prayer. And there's going to be a day when your family needs you to be able to rattle the throne of heaven for them. Right?
Yeah.
And so you got to get, you don't suddenly become that person. You grow into being that kind of prayer warrior kind of person.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that's what he's saying here.
Yeah.
Keep, let's finish with this one thing. In verse 6, it says, learn a lesson from this unjust judge. That's what he says.
Right.
And you just have to understand, when Jesus gives these stories, they're for you. It's not just a thing he's talking about.
Right.
They're for us to figure out, what is the lesson? What's the application? And the application was, she was persistent.
Yeah. So don't you think that God will surely give justice to the chosen people who cry out to him day and night?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So keep crying out.
That's right.
Keep going to God. Keep being persistent.
That's fantastic.
Because it makes a difference. So that's great. All right. Well, hey, that is our time. So what a great discussion, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow on the Bible Guys.